Hi, I'm Shauna Brenfleck, nurse practitioner and owner of Island Skin Solutions and Wellness Clinic. We are Saipan's only medical spa offering a wide range of services to meet your unique skincare goals. We offer exclusive medical grade skincare products that can only be purchased from a licensed medical professional. We also have the CNMI's only master esthetician who offers new patient consultations that include a mini facial tailored to your needs. Schedule your consultation today to get started on your skincare journey.
Got Medicaid? Paradise Dental's got you covered. We've got you covered from the moment you walk in the door with some of Saipan's best smiles. Medicaid covers your fillings, your extractions, and your checkups with no out-of-pocket expense. And Medicaid covers all of your x-rays without any additional cost to you. So remember, if you've got Medicaid, you're covered. Don't wait for a toothache. Call Paradise Dental today. Come here often.
So that's the sound I needed to hear. Where? No. So, fun fact. I can't. Can you guys even hear me? I don't think so. No, audio check. No. Wait, there you are. You should be able to hear me now. No problem at all. Just give me a little high five saying that you guys can see it. Not sure what happened. There we go. Thank you guys. I did a whole lot of talking to myself That's the best part. So you know I am the expert in everything, and I'm perfect all the time, never make mistakes. I know everybody says that. But today was one of those days. You know, we moved that studio around from last night. You guys were watching SIP Happens with the folks from the Marianas Business Network, and it went late. We were here late last night talking to folks and everything, and rebuilt everything last night, and one cable was just not locked in. So you guys missed a whole bunch of stuff. I was telling you that you were able to hear the Associated Press update and all that stuff, but you know what? We're going to do all that again in a little bit. Right now, though, let's get right into it, because we've got some folks in studio who are doing something really awesome here in the CNMI, and it's not something that we get. Thank you, Dominic. Appreciate it. We've got some folks in here who are going to be doing something really cool here in the CNMI, and you're going to see them in just a second when I refresh their camera. And there they are. Oh, now you can see them too, and you can see me. I got to back up a little bit. We've got Sultry and Tristan who are in here from Teata. Is it Teata Productions?
Yes, it is.
Yes, and first of all, it is so awesome to have you guys in here. They're going to be performing a show called Nothing Micro About Micronesia, and I can't wait to hear more about it. But first, let's introduce you a little bit to all the folks that we've got here. Can you tell everyone who you are, where you're from, and what you guys are doing?
Mr. Tristan Castellaneri. I'm from the island of Pohnpei, and we all came from Oahu, and we're here to do our show called Nothing Micro About Micronesia.
Good morning, everyone. Yakwe. I am Sultry, and I am the Operations and Diaspora Programs Director at Teata. And when we tour, I'm the company manager for our play, so I assist with getting the cast together, communicating between all our different parties that we're working with. So we're very excited to be at the 44th annual Flame Tree Arts Festival to do our play. This is the first time, they're telling us this is the first time that they've done a live play on stage. It's a full 60-minute production that we're doing tonight.
Wow.
And we're doing half of each, the first half and the second half on Saturday and Sunday.
So the full thing is tonight, and if you want, you're going to be able to catch half of it on Saturday and half of it on Sunday.
Yes, the first half on Saturday and the second half on Sunday.
But so what time are you guys going tonight?
We're going on at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. And this is going to be really neat. Like you said, it's the first time they've done like a live production kind of play out there at Flame Tree Art Festival, and I know it's going to be amazing. And it's interesting because it's going to be outside. Does that pose any challenges to you guys, doing it outside as opposed to inside of a theater?
For the most parts, because we do theater mostly indoors, and lighting is going to be a challenge, blocking is going to be a challenge, but we're actors, we're flexible, we're going to work with it.
No, that's great. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the production that's going to be happening tonight?
Absolutely. So Nothing Micro About Micronesia is a play about two boys that are going through a conflict. They're both Pacific Islander boys that are learning about their identity and just learning how to go through a challenge together. And there's a character named Mama Kiwin who brings them together, and Soso, who is they're the matriarchs of the play. And it really talks about what Micronesians are going through, particularly in Oahu and even in places like Guam, diasporic Micronesians. I grew up in the Marshall Islands, so a lot of the narratives I've heard as well through the development. We've developed this play with the community. So folks were coming to our workshops and telling us what they were experiencing from California to Oahu, and a lot of those stories are incorporated in the play. So things like climate change, things like... Absolutely.
Can you move your phone a little bit?
Yeah.
Sorry, just so I can get it closer. People definitely want to hear what you're saying, and we can hear it, but this will help. This will help.
Yeah. So there's issues like climate change and nuclear testing, and people not being able to access healthcare, and those things are affecting our community. So all of those aspects and the discrimination the community is experiencing are also included in play. Is there anything you want to add, Tristan?
For the play, it mainly talks about our Micronesian youth lives in Hawaii. For example, I personally, like, my stories are in the play too, because I moved from Pohnpei 2020 and I moved to Hawaii. When I moved to Hawaii, I didn't know anything about the Micronesian discrimination, like the discrimination against Micronesians in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. So going through that, I had a hard time navigating. But like the place said, like we're navigating through life in Hawaii, meeting new people, even with challenges.
And I'd add to that, there's a lot of really resilient practices of our culture, that all our different cultures within Micronesia that are incorporated in the play. And even to how we receive weavings for our props every time that we tour from a different culture, that is part of how we work with community to highlight the different ways that we continue to preserve the culture. Even through this adversity, people are coming together, learning how to adapt to the culture of the United States or wherever people migrate to.
You know, it's such an interesting thing, and I'm so glad we're talking about this, because I didn't know that that's what the whole thing was about, and where this whole idea came from for Nothing Micro About Micronesia. So, just a Holly guy from Buffalo, New York. I moved out here in 2003, and I did not know, just some ignorant guy, I didn't know the difference about different islanders and different island cultures and languages and all that stuff. Not because I didn't care, just because I was never exposed to it, right? I mean, East Coast, we're more snow people, you know. So I know all about people who deal with snow and cold weather, right? So I came out here. I got to learn a lot about the different languages and a lot of different cultures. I haven't been through FSM or Plow or Marshalls yet, but I definitely can tell the difference, and I definitely can appreciate certain things about the cultures. I'm not an expert, but I know a lot of different things. But I wasn't exposed to anything. I thought that there was all kinds of love for all the different island cultures amongst all the different island cultures, Micronesia, Polynesia, Melanesia, you know, all of the throughout Oceania. And then come to find out, you know, a little by little, you know, that veil is lifted, and you can hear like the little conversations or the little things and all that. And it made me think of like how people are in the States about, you know, whatever cultures are out there that are predominant or prevalent, right? So I'm like, holy cow, there really is some of that, like what you were talking about, like especially in Hawaii, right? I mean, Hawaii, Polynesian culture, you know, that's the culture, right? As far as like for island stuff, and then you get folks from here, but I'm telling you, I hear the same thing about, about like what it is in Hawaii with regards to the Micronesian discrimination, like you said. I don't know where it comes from or where it started, but I couldn't even imagine what that was like, because I had no clue about any of that stuff. And so, what are some of, like, you brought your stories in, right? So where you're from Oahu, like, or you're from Pohnpei,
Yeah, from Pohnpei.
But you grew up in.
So I was born and raised in Pohnpei, and I moved out to Hawaii 2020, COVID year.
Oh man. So all right. So what was it like? Was that your first time leaving?
My first time leaving the island.
No. Okay. So what brought you out to Hawaii in the first place?
Treatment. My mom had to go for treatment. There was no medical equipment that was capable to treat her, so they referred her to Hawaii. So the option was either my mom goes alone, or she takes all her family and go with her. So that's the choice she made. She took me, my sister, and my dad.
Wow.
My sister. We all came out.
That's a great support network, by the way. That's great. How is your mom now?
Oh, she's feeling way better.
Great. I'm like, oh man, I hope she's fine.
Yes.
So you got out there and you experienced another island. I would imagine just leaving home is a big deal, right? I mean, like what, Pohnpei, like, what's the population?
Population? I don't know.
Luckily, we have this Google machine that does all that stuff for us. But would you say it's like bigger than here, smaller than here?
I'd say, I haven't been all around the island, so I'm not too sure. But I think over here might be bigger.
Yeah. How about, like, is there, when you first got to Oahu, big culture shock?
Oh, big culture shock.
What was the biggest thing that you had to get used to? Or
when greeting people, because every time I walk by, I have to do this, like, acknowledge people. Some people look at me and like what is this guy doing? Because that's my culture. I walk by everybody, I say, yeah, I say hi. So that's a big culture shock for me. Also, learning to go to school, like Cause I go into school use like with books and stuff. But when I came out to Honolulu, it was during COVID, and that's when they transitioned into online classes.
Wow, yes.
Using iPads and stuff. So I had a little hard time navigating through online classes.
And I imagine that was a thing. So when you're in Pohnpei, I mean, are you speaking Pohnpeian, or people smoke?
So in Pohnpei, I used to speak Pohnpeian, but I also went to a private school. They speak English too. So yeah, Pohnpei English, and I also speak Mokalese because my mom is Mokalese too.
No kidding. Well, we have a pretty vast island culture out here too, right? I mean, we have Chamorro, Carolinians, but and Palauans, and people from the Marshalls, people from throughout FSM as well. We got some folks from Fiji. We got, but I mean, like throughout all the islands. So we have a little bit more of a mix. So we kind of get used to everybody, and we pick up different words here and there. You hang around playing the softball with the guys, you learn some of the bad words first, and it's cool. How about now you, Sultry? You're from your Marshallese, but you grew up in the Marshalls?
I was born in the Philippines, so both my parents are Filipino, but I was raised in the Marshall Islands. So I moved there when I was 1.
Wow.
And I speak Marshallese. I learned the culture. I went to private school, so we learned Marshallese and the religion and the songs. So it was very much a mixed culture. And similar to what you're saying, like here in Saipan and in Wuhan, there's a lot of intercultural exchange between the, Micronesian languages and even international cultures come. There's a lot of Japanese, there's a lot of white folks. I even had, Black and Indian folks that I grew up with. Like it's such a wellspring of culture. And even our play, Nothing Micro About Micronesia, micro is a derogatory term that people have used to weaponize against Micronesian people. And what we learn, what we're learning, especially as we work in Oahu with folks at KPT, which is a housing project that is now being at threat of being removed, there have been waves of different immigrants that have come there, from Lao to Samoan to now Micronesian. So this pattern of discrimination is really just about resource and not knowing how to share resource and not feeling like we have enough resource to share. And so we kind of blame it on each other. And I think that's the beauty of art. And when we do our workshops with the schools and with different communities and churches, we create an opportunity for people to talk about their stories, and even discrimination that we have amongst each other as Micronesian people. We kind of address that because we don't realize the perception that's rooted in one thing or another. People think, oh, this person's not coming to work all the time, but they're actually going to help their family get treatment, or they have really intensive grief rituals where when one relative passes, everybody gets involved to go through the funeral service, to go through the wake, and it's culturally, a lot of people are shocked by that. When we went to Enid, Oklahoma, I went there for a project with the Field Museum in Chicago to highlight Marshallese community. We have the 4th largest Marshallese community in Enid.
No way.
There were people that were saying, oh yeah, the factories were upset because all these workers were not coming. But there was one prominent leader that had passed. And it is a custom within a lot of Micronesian cultures. If somebody passes, the whole island shuts down and we all go pay respect. And in an American or more in a separate culture, people might see that as disruptive or not wanting to work and perceive people as lazy, but it's actually a cultural thing. It's rooted in a practice.
You're 100% right. So like that was something to get used to out here too, because like, man, well, everybody's like not there. Like what do you mean? Everybody has to go to this guy's funeral. That was like my 2003. Like, wow. I mean, but it's not your immediate family member and all that. No, it's just what we do. I'm like, all right, well, I got to learn this stuff, right? So, but I totally get it, and I appreciate it now because it's part of the culture that we've got here as well. I mean, that is, it's definitely a big part of it, and especially like the real prominent folks. But either way, you're right. You nailed it about like just getting to know other cultural practices, and that's what makes this place great because there's so many of them. And that's why I have gained so much food from all the funerals that I've gone to, because there's so much food at all of the novenas and all that other kind of stuff. So So micro, used as like a pejorative for a lot of these things you were saying, right? So, I mean, we have Micro Beach, which is great. Yeah, I mean,
That was a surprise.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And that's Micro Beach Road over there too. And it had a specific naming reason and everything like that. It's not just because it's a little beach, but they want to represent some of the culture here as well. How has your reception been since you guys have gotten here and told people that you're doing this or putting on this performance?
Well, we've been working on coming here to the Marianas for over a year, and
Wow.
there's been so much excitement via Zoom. So seeing people in person, it's been a flood of just joy and excitement and collaboration. We were greeted so beautifully and wonderfully at the airport with song and with various organizations coming together to support us. Everybody's been pulling in to bring in resources because we are a large team, and we do have, the production is not just going to be a stage performance. There's lighting, there's projection, there's sound. We want to give a quality and wonderful performance to this wonderful culture. We want to match the energy of what we perceive and what we see within Micronesian community, and we want to show the interconnection of all the different languages. There's so many different languages that are featured and highlighted in this play, so we're really thankful to all our different partners that have greeted us. How do you feel, Tris?
Feeling excited. This is gonna be the first outdoor show, and this is my first time in Saipan.
Wow.
Yeah. Overall, chicken skin.
Yeah. So, how about like friends and family from Pohnpei? Do you have any connections to folks who are out here? Did they put you together with anybody?
I have a couple of families here. Like my dad told me some of my uncles that are here, and I have some friends that were from here that I met in Pohnpei because they were living there for a while. So that's some connections I have. And recently, yeah, I just like meeting new people. Like I like to believe your network is your net worth. So making new connections is very important to me.
Love it. It's funny. I'm looking in the comments and some folks who are talking about, like you were talking about, like giving the nod to everybody and everything. Luisa was saying that's the biggest shock for me when I moved to the U.S. I said hi to everybody, and my uncle was like, "Hey, stop talking to people. Stranger danger." But you know, when I was living in the mainland too, though, when I was an adult for sure. I don't remember when I was a kid, but even as a young adult, I'd say hi to anybody who I made eye contact with when I was walking down the street. It's like that's not something you do in the city, but I did it anyway. It was just like uncomfortable for me not to do it. Maybe that's why I feel way more comfortable out here, hanging out and everything. But man, I am so excited to check this out, and I love that you guys put this together. How did Tiara? How did that start?
Tiara is the pidgin way of saying theater. And when
Theater.
our directors, Ova and Leilani Chan is our founding director, and Ova Saopeng is the co-artistic director. They're husband and wife, and they have been doing this theater work for a long time. Leilani has been building theater for over 20 years, and shortly after that, Ova joined her. And the work that Tiara does is working with particularly vulnerable communities like asylees, refugees, immigrants, and we really believe in the power of story. Ova and Leilani's background in theater, they incorporate it in what we call the Tiara methodology. So they're constantly teaching people how to become teaching artists, like Tristan and myself. They use that methodology with different theater games and practices to invite the community to tell their own story. And often the practice of theater methodology is for us to share a game, but then let the community take over. And there's even certain counting games where we start with English and then we open it up for other languages to come in so we can hear each other, and so that people feel agency and feel in their body to play. Because a lot of our community, when we talk about auditions or when we talk about being in a theater, people feel intimidated because that particular structure is not always available in your country. And so we like to call it coming in for like a workshop, or coming in for to play or to learn about these methods. And that is what our actual auditions are, is really just doing workshops together, doing activities, seeing how people relate to each other, which stories and which experiences we want to highlight, and who is interested in taking this on. So we were so lucky to have Tristan, Kakoa, Lala, Kathy join in to be part of this production. It took many workshops for us to find our core group, but we really are fortunate to find multicultural Pacifica people that are in their own right community leaders, sharing such gifts outside of the theater and within it now.
Well, it's great that you mentioned bringing people in, because from what I hear, you've got some people from here who are getting involved with this one as well.
Yes, we have 2 youth, Hina and Carolina, that are part of Mona Studios that are going to be part of some of our scenes. You want to talk about how that's been?
It's very exciting. What we like theater likes to do, they like to invite people, especially for times like this, not just to have more people, but to invite, make Saipan included, in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to shout out Steven Van Winkle, who was our weaver. His weavings are going to be featured in our play. We're also having Larry, who's one of the people that took a canoe from Guam and arrived last night, do our opening chant. So when we did our show at UH Manoa in Oahu last May, we actually brought multiple cultural organizations to come. We had some elders do a chant, we had Kiribati chants, we had Chuki's youth do a dance, and that was our opening procession to ask permission as folks who are, allies to the Micronesian story. Like myself, I'm Southeast Asian, but I am asking permission. So this protocol that we do, it is present in a lot of these indigenous cultures, and so as folks within Tierra that are not necessarily of the culture, we want to highlight the cultural people and the cultural arts first. And then we do have certain scenes that are more interactive, so we get to involve the community in that. We have, I want to do a little spoiler, but I'm gonna invite you all to come and see the show, see how people get involved. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, when you say Larry, is that Larry Sherry?
I don't know his, you know how we don't know his name.
Oh, okay.
I wish I knew his last name. It might be.
Hey, you've got a bunch of folks coming in here saying, with some comments. One says, project sounds phenomenal. When can we watch the play? We talked about it.
You can watch it tonight at the Garapan Fishing Base at 7 p.m.
That's great. And it says, where can we purchase tickets?
It's free.
It's free here.
That's great. It's free. And you're able to watch it tonight. All right, thanks, Tobot. Appreciate that. Anna says, Steve and Larry, 2 great people to know, a weaver and a navigator. Nope, not Sherry. All right, thanks, Anna. Appreciate that. Anna Lafayette, she knows everybody. Professor Larry from UOG. I haven't met him, but I could see him tonight. Maybe he'll be there.
He will.
Yes, and another way that we get community involved is we have different community artists participate, and so I just want to highlight Tristan's uncle, Carnes of Island Signature. He designed a shirt specifically for us, so
really?
I will be at the swag table. I'll be doing support. I'm part of the team that helps uplift this show, and so I will be at the booth if you guys want to talk to me, if you guys want to get our shirts. We have Nothing Micro About Micronesia shirts. We have No Act, Check the Facts shirts, which is a phrase in Hawaii when they say no act, check the facts. They're like, don't be so overactive, like check the facts. Like, and then we also have the Island Signature shirts that has Nan Madal on the back. So I will preview that. We have 2 shirts. There's a blue and a gold one. So we're just really excited to have to honor these monuments and these cultural artists in our swag.
So that's cool. That was going to be the next question. Like it sounds like such a great organization. It's like a movement almost. So how do you fund it? So you're able to do this for free for our community. So it's really cool. But is it through like selling the shirts and stuff like that? Is that how you guys can raise money?
So we are a company that's based in Los Angeles. We became a nonprofit officially in 2012. So we do rely on grants, both federal, state grants, as well as donations from community. We do small donations. We constantly do fundraisers. We're always accepting donations since we are a 501c3 nonprofit. But how we tour is that we work with partners. So different presenting partners assist us in getting here. So this tour is particularly with Saipan and Guahan. So our partners here are the Northern Marianas Humanities Council, and I really want to shout them out because they have been super supportive. We also have the Arts Council, of course, that is part of the creating Flame Tree Arts Festival. We had support from the governor. We had support from our partners Amy and Mona at Mona Studios.
I know them.
Absolutely, they're so wonderful. And then in Guam, we're working with University of Guam, CAHA, and Humanities Guahan. So humanities and various arts groups have been our biggest supporters. And in our previous tours, we worked with universities. So usually we have 2 to 3 organizations. The organization with the theater that lends us the space, and then we have people that partner with us, whether they're nonprofits or private organizations, business owners. And oftentimes what we see when we do our performance at the theaters is that ticket sales are a barrier for our community that is predominantly, working paycheck to paycheck, and some of them are at risk, or some of them are not able to afford the tickets. And so what we love to do is, as we're building our production, we're constantly asking for fundraising, but once we're there, we're like, hey, we do a Hail Mary, and we're just like, is there an organization, is there a political leader, is there a entrepreneur that would like to donate X amount of money so that this amount of community can get into the theaters? And we're still doing that for Guahan, and thankfully Flame Tree Arts Festival has removed that barrier because it is a free event. But oftentimes we have to do our best and really, really bust our butts so that we can get donations to subsidize that fee and that obstacle, because we want the community that's on this stage to be the people whose stories they belong to, and the people that witness them to also be the community, in addition to the people that need to hear it because they're doing some of the harm.
Yeah, I hear it. I was just thinking while you were talking about, like, what a cool adventure this has to be for Tristan. He gets to Hawaii to support his mom for a medical, and next thing you know, he finds some friends, finds some community, and now he's traveling the world doing performances. Holy cow!
Go Tris.
It's a big shock, but like my parents would always tell me, all glory to God. Yeah.
They gotta love, like, do you still keep in contact with everybody from back home and everybody, right?
Oh, I do. Like, as much as even though I'm far away from them, I don't feel like I'm far away from them. Like, they're still there. They're still my family. I still have to talk to them.
Well, they gotta love that you're doing this. You gotta be making them proud and doing all this stuff. If that was your first trip away from home, and now home is on the road or on the sea, or while you're traveling and all that, it's almost like we've got something in common about this, because all my family and all the people who I grew up with are still there in the same place. Like, my whole family, they're still in the same town. They still live within. My brother, my sister, my mom and dad are all within like 2 miles of each other. So like, they're still in the same place. So, like, a lot of your family, probably the same thing. And we're the adventurers out here in the world, going to a different place and still staying connected. But what an adventure, man. I mean, like, could you have ever imagined when you left in 2020 that you'd be doing something like this?
No. When I left Hawaii for 2020, all I thought about was school. Yeah, was school.
Where'd you go to school in Hawaii?
So when I left in Pohnpei, I left freshman year, and I went to Hawaii sophomore year. I graduated from Kaimuki High School in 2023. And now I'm at HCC, Honolulu Community College.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've been to Hawaii a couple times, a handful of times. One, I don't know how you guys do it. It's so expensive. Like, I can't imagine ever living there, because I'm not a millionaire. I bet millionaires probably don't make a lot of money over there. I mean, it's got to be tough. Like, it's so expensive. Like, a regular house is like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And people with multiple jobs and doing all that kind of stuff. And maybe that's where, and maybe that's how this comes back, like, from the circle. Maybe that's where part of it is, because, like, here, a lot of the service industry folks that we have are from off island, right? A lot of the folks, they have contract workers here, where a lot are from Philippines. They bring them in and they give them their housing, their medical, and whatever rate, and then they are, like, for that property, like a hotel, for instance. They might work in any take any hotel job they could probably have those jobs, right? But when I went to Hawaii, with the places that we stayed, I saw a lot of folks from Micronesia who were working in the hotels and filling a lot of those kind of jobs too. So I wonder if maybe it's almost like a class system or a caste system, where maybe that's where some of that comes from, like some of the negative connotation. Like,
Absolutely. You're hitting it on the head, because it's always the new immigrants that get the brunt of people's burdens. It's easy to project on the new people and not know why they're coming here, not know their history, not know that our community has been historically tested on with nuclear testing, and the waste is going into our oceans, and people have cancer. And so that's particularly for people within Micronesia and closer to the Marshall Islands, but it's easy to misinterpret why people are there. And the Philippines too has its own historical, many centuries of challenges, and in the last few decades, just a lot of debt where people have to. The Philippines' largest export is care workers. OFW, Overseas Filipino Worker, is a common abbreviation that we use because our family is used to separation, because that's the only way to live in our country, because we have so much debt to the International Monetary Fund due to our previous corruption and various political experiences our country has undergone. So the people, the working class people are the ones paying the debt of our nation, and so they're having to leave their families. And my family has gone through that. My family was separated at different points because we couldn't live in the Philippines. And we actually took refuge in the Marshall Islands because there was a little bit more opportunity. Like you're saying, my grandfather was a contractor for Gibson. And so he petitioned my entire family on my mom's side. And that was the only way we could leave poverty in the Philippines. And so as I see my community going through this challenge in Oahu, I feel a responsibility to, support, because the Marshall Islands was a refuge for me. So why should I not create a refuge for our community here in this nation that we share, that is the so-called United States of America.
by the way, that reminds me of a book that this guy who came out here wrote, the Not Quite United States of America. I can't believe I don't have it in the studio with me. Sorry. So Dominic says, sorry I didn't catch that. I caught that it's called Nothing Micro About Micronesia. Yes, that's correct. There you go. Hold on one second. Yes, just checking. By the way, I'm just looking through the comments for you guys. Some of the folks over here on the other channels as well. How about over here? Oh, geez, I didn't even get to see this. Sorry, guys. Over on the YouTube side. Now you're able to hear. Thanks for that, Sean. I know that was a little earlier. You got some love over there, and they were saying the chanter and navigator is Larry Regatal, and on a canoe to Saipan from Guam as we speak. You know, I heard that the guys were coming in last night, like around 2 o'clock in the morning or something. Oh, yeah. Is that the same group?
Yes.
So we finished up. We had the show here last night called Sip Happens. And then we ended up hanging out here talking and enjoying some beverages for a little while. I'm like, oh man, I can't stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning to welcome these guys in, but it would be really cool to see it. But I know that they were going to be towed in at around like 2 o'clock in the morning and all that stuff. So that's got to be a great trip for them, coming up from Guam and everything. Have you guys been able to get out on the water since you've been here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
really?
A little bit, yeah. We went to 500 sails on Saturday.
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah, we went to Micro Beach. Some of us did, but I'm taking the rest of them today to go check it out, and it's been beautiful. It's just so gorgeous out here.
What would you tell people about Tristan if you're thinking about? There's other folks who like thought about leaving and checking out other islands and other places and all that stuff.
Just go for it. Just do it. Yeah, there's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of things to see. Just do it.
That's awesome. What's been your most memorable moment on this little journey that you've been on?
My gosh, I've been with Tita for almost 2 years now. My most memorable, honestly, I hadn't gone back to Oahu for 23 years, and this is my first time returning to Micronesia since I left in 2001. So it's just reconnecting with my childhood families and realizing that I went through a lot of grief leaving. We left kind of abruptly because of 9/11. They said they were going to stop shipping food and water. So my family left just a few days after 9/11 happened. And I didn't know we were never going to come back. It was really fast. Like my mom told me on September 16th we were leaving. We shoved everything into bags. In 2 days we left.
Wow.
And so I think I'm just like healing a lot of like childhood wounds of like, oh, that was so fast, you know, like, and then just being kind of put in, we lived in Arkansas away from the Marshallese community. So I think it's just the reconnecting and realizing this whole time that that grief that I felt was just a belonging to a place. Like me feeling grief in the United States was because I felt like I belonged in the Marshall Islands and with Micronesian people. And I feel like, I do feel more at home here in Saipan, even though it's my first time and I don't have relatives here, but just the land and the people and the way that it is, it feels familiar and it feels really comforting to me.
It's a special place. The islands, there's a special something about them. That's all I can say. I know, like, if I ever had to go back, I've seen the little crystal balls sometime, like what would life be like if I ever moved back to the mainland? And it would kind of suck because it's so different. I know that if I was able to tie on to any islander community back home, I would probably do it like right away, and it would be pretty neat. Like especially on the West Coast, there's such a community from the CNMI out in the West Coast. In fact, funny, you were talking about like the diaspora and everything. Like for here, the Chamorro diaspora, or even just from the Marianas, is pretty far-reaching. And I got to connect with a lot of folks who have never been here, but their culture is from here, right? So like their parents left, or their grandparents left, and they've heard about it and heard about what the islands must be like and everything. And I got to connect with them because during the pandemic, Dr. Michael Bavacqua was doing a Chamorro language online, like a how-to, and it was I want to say Saturday. I don't remember what it was now. It's going back a few years. But I got to connect with all these people online, with our online classes and all that stuff, with people from all over the United States, and some from out here who just wanted to learn how to speak Chamorro. And there's such an appetite for reconnecting with the culture and to tie in with that. And it kind of mirrors like what folks in, like where I'm from in New York were going through, where there's almost like I want to say, at least within the United States, during the formation of the United States, you talk about the how, the new guys always get picked on the most, basically, right? I think it kind of comes down to that. They're the ones who get looked down upon because they're the newest ones and everything. So people are in such a hurry to shed their culture and their histories just so they can be assimilated a little bit right away. They can assimilate into whatever the American culture was going to be. And then somewhere within the last 20 years, maybe 25, 30 years, there became this cultural renaissance where people want to get back in touch with their roots and find out where their grandparents were from, find out where their great-grandparents were from, find out what their last name means in the language from where they're from, wherever that place is. And we got to see that here in the islands, definitely within the last 20 years, for sure, where people are reconnecting and really getting an appreciation. And, without getting too into that part so much, but like it's almost lifting that veil of, where you were almost lifting that veil. I want to say colonialism a little bit, but I'm not sure if I feel real good about that. But I mean, that's almost it. Just the feeling of where people were trying to assimilate into a real easy culture where they were from wasn't the focus of it. They just want to be part of whatever our general community is. And now this seems like this is one of those performances and one of these groups that's focused on trying to do just that, reconnect people with it, and then say, hey, well, this one's specifically about Micronesian culture. So.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I studied family studies, so there were a lot of miseducations in the past about how language can interfere with your actual ability to learn. There was a study in the 70s that was debunked about language being an interference to to knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but I think and there's a lot of factors why people were not speaking their language because of, like you
Some
said,
people weren't allowed to. I mean,
yeah,
at
they
some
were
point.
charged
Yeah.
in the Philippines that you were charged money if you spoke your language, and I know that is rooted in fear and competition. And I think our culture, especially with technology and with migration, people are just becoming more open and understanding that we can't get through climate change, we can't get through these conflicts until we actually are in a relationship with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so this play really talks about the complex relationships, because even our indigenous cultures, we have challenges within that we are still working through. But we highlight it not to make any opinion any one way or another, but to allow the people to see themselves and make, you know, conscious choices about how they want to move forward and how they want to participate in the world as you know, members of this society.
Hey, some folks who are just tuning in, they're asking, where are you guys going to be? And they're like, are they going to be at Memorial Park? No, tonight it's going to be at Flame Tree at the Garapan Fishing Base at 6:30, right?
It's going to be at 7 o'clock, yeah, so come and
Get
park
in there
at
at 6:30, so you don't miss it.
Make sure to come visit the vendor booth, get our swag so that people know about the show. We're going to be touring, after this we're going to be touring to Guam, and then we hope to bring the show to the continent because we've only gone through the Hawaiian Islands so far.
Wow.
To Big Island and Maui through University of Hawaii Hilo and the Maui Arts and Cultural Center.
No kidding.
Other than that, we were doing our show at UH Manoa at the Kennedy Center in Oahu, and then the Honolulu Theater for Youth, which is a big partner of ours. We did a long run there. That was Tristan's debut on the stage with
Whoa.
us.
How about that Pacific Cultural Center that they have in Hawaii? Is it?
Which one?
It's the one. I don't want to say it's out by North Shore. Is that where it is?
Is that Polynesian culture?
Polynesian Cultural Center. That's what it was. Well, we went out there. It was pretty amazing. I loved that place. That was so great.
We haven't connected with them yet. I know they were part of FestPac, and we were like loosely part of FestPac. We all attended as delegates, but the weaving is just getting tighter. We're learning. The more that we spread the word, if you guys have connections with different venues or different places, anybody that's tuning in, let us know. Connect us to any leaders or theaters or even any kind of indoor or outdoor space. Now that we're getting this experience, we're happy to show up either to do a workshop with schools or to do a artist residency. We'd love to spend more time with the community, especially if there's Micronesian people there to support. We're hoping to bring our show to California and Portland in next spring, and then in the fall trying to go to the Midwest. There's a lot of Chuukese folks in Minnesota, and we're looking at either Oklahoma or Kansas City and Chicago.
How about taking this through FSM?
That is a big goal. Actually, our director, Leilani, her dream is that we get a lot of funding so that we can have a team that can build a stage, and then and to purchase generators and just leave it there.
Oh, wow.
For the community to be able to use it for that area to have that resource after we leave. So this is really training us to be ready to bring this show to Micronesia. We'd love to bring it there. Our directors were able to visit Ponape, the Marshall Islands, and Chuuk 2 summers ago, as well as tour here in Saipan and in Guahan. So it's just about time, it's just about funding and resources and the right collaborators to bring us over and for us to bring the show there.
Awesome. And Frank's jumping in. Frank, thanks for tuning in. He's got a bunch of questions, and I think we kind of got to it, but said, who wrote the play? And it kind of seems like it's a little bit of input from everybody.
It is. So Leilani Chan and Ova Saupeng are the the directors and the writers of the play. They kind of synthesized all those experiences that I just mentioned of them visiting these different countries, and then all the devised work that they've done. They were invited by an elder, Inocente Soundkiku, who is our cultural navigator. They were doing workshops in Oahu and were invited to do a show about the Micronesian community. And the first one was called Masters of the Current. And that was what toured around 2017 to 2022. And that's been to Utah, it's been to Southern California, it's been to Guam. And they visited here, but they mostly did workshops in Saipan. But Nothing Micro About Micronesia is the second episode, the second version of Masters of the Current that dives a little bit deeper into the culture. So Masters the Current was the intro, and we're continuing. We're open to seeing where this path takes us, but you are correct in that we credit all the people who are part of our devise process and our workshops. If we used any of their stories, we asked for consent within the workshop, but also have credited them on our programs and on our website.
It seems like such a great opportunity to be a part of something like this. To be a part of this and then to go through, like, make your way back to the Marshalls, go through Palau, go through FSM, and experience it. Like, I think that the meaning of it and might even be enhanced when you go through and you get to connect with all those people directly. I think, or all those communities directly, I think would be a wonderful thing. I mean, like, how excited do you think people would be if people rolled in from Tierra to Pohnpei? We think there would be a pretty good showing.
Yeah. We'd pop out.
Imagine if we just did a canoe tour
Yeah.
all over
Oh my
Margarita.
gosh.
Oh my God.
That's
And we just
amazing.
showed up and had like a big yacht and did our play on the yacht off the shore. No, that's a big dream, right?
Yeah.
But hey, if you're out there, if you're listening to the show and you think this is possible, please support and check us out tonight. You're going to get to see the full show here, Saipan, so
Hey.
you're all welcome to come.
If PJ's out there in Seattle, she's like, come to Seattle. South Seattle Community College has a Pacific Islanders club that does theater too. Like, that'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely, let's connect. You can find our website, www.tieta.org. Reach out to us. We have a small team and we'd love to collaborate with you all and bring our company to your area.
Yeah, let's get
We
that
are
on the
looking at
screen.
Seattle. We're looking at Portland, particularly in Oregon, but we are looking in the Pacific Northwest. So the more partners, the better.
Okay, well, I got to put yours on there. Where are we? That is you guys, but it's too big. Hold on. Yeah, that's it. Hold on. I'm going to bring you guys on the screen your website. That's a great website there, by the way.
Thank you. Shout out to Johnny Chang, our marketing and
He hasn't
Local
called me.
programs.
He hasn't like emailed me 1,000 times.
He's doing a wonderful job. Shout out
Yes.
to Johnny and our director, our development director, Talu. She's been wonderful too. She's one of the people that helps us, gain funding. And I wanted to mention that our swag and our ticket sales do help us with the little remaining balance that we have to cover whenever we are touring. So, however you all can support, please do. We are still looking for donors to our Guam show for tickets so that we can make it accessible to the community.
That's great. And when are you guys heading over to Guam?
We're leaving on the 28th, literally the
Wow.
day after Flame Tree Arts Festival. We go into Guam and we have a day off, and then we go directly into University of Guam for a performance on May 2nd and 3rd.
Are you guys flying or taking a boat?
We're flying. That's a tall order. We went to boat. We're not at that level yet. Maybe give us a few years. We'll get boat trained.
Boat train.
I love it.
We have too much cargo. We have too much
Yeah,
cargo.
too many cargo to carry on a boat.
I love it. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been just a great treat for me. I know our viewers really appreciated having you guys in here also. The show is called Nothing Micro About Micronesia. It's the Marianas tour for Tieta Productions, and a couple of members of our Micronesia community here as well. And wow, just great having you guys in here and getting up early for us to come down here and everything. So thanks so much. Before we go, anyone that you'd want to acknowledge, give any shout outs to anybody?
Shout out to the cast, the director, artistic director, the team, the crew, everybody who made this possible, Tieta's partners, everybody.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that believed in this show and believed in our team, to our families who have been supporting us in the back end of things. I really thank them, and I thank everybody that's shown up here in Saipan to share their resources and to share their time with us. We really appreciate it. And to all the students that have been at our workshops,
Yes.
to all the stories that are incorporated in the show, I think about all the people that have come through, and this show would not be without our community. This is your show, so please come support your show, because this is meant for you. We came all the way from Oahu and Los Angeles just to share this with the community that it reflects. So we hope you see your reflection at our show tonight.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much, and thank you guys for being here. This is why I do this. so I can meet people like you, doing cool things in our community and visiting by. And now I'm going to have to follow you guys on all the stuff. And we'll have to see it tonight, too. Carolina's my daughter's classmate, one of her good friends, too, so we're excited to go down there and see you guys. And by the way, so Johnny emailed me a bunch, right? I think I talked about it. But I met over at on Easter. I met you guys on Easter, and it was just by chance. You know, we happened to be at the right place to bump into you guys and to have that face-to-face meeting to kind of set all this stuff up. So it was, again, I just stumbled into lucky things, and getting to meet you guys was pretty awesome. So good luck tonight. I'm really excited to see you guys.
Thank you so much, Brad. It was a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, me too. And enjoy your coffee, because Samson taking care of us with this stuff. Yes, we're enjoying our Samson coffees for sure. All right, hey, we're gonna take a break and we'll come back. We got more. In fact, we got folks from Department of Labor who are going to be coming in about a half an hour. So we'll get you caught up with everything that's happening with the Associated Press. We'll take some commercials and we'll come back with more of our local stories. So we'll see you with more just after this.
Hi, I'm Shauna Brenfleck, nurse practitioner and owner of Island Skin Solutions and Wellness Clinic. We are Saipan's only medical spa offering a wide range of services to meet your unique skincare goals. We offer exclusive medical grade skincare products that can only be purchased from a licensed medical professional. We also have the CNMI's only master esthetician, who offers new patient consultations that include a mini facial tailored to your needs. Schedule your consultation today to get started on your skincare journey.
Paradise Dental's giving you the gas. Well, not that kind of gas. You already know that Paradise Dental has the most affordable coverage in the entire Marianas, and now we've got something special just for new customers. And now for a limited time, Paradise Dental is offering free gas vouchers for new signups for their coverage plan. If you sign up for a singles plan, you'll get a $10 gas voucher. If you sign up for a couples plan, that's a $15 gas voucher. And if you sign up for the whole family plan, that's a $20 gas voucher right after your first visit. So hurry down.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's again ripping his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky. Sagar Meghani has the latest.
The president was asked Monday whether the U.S. will propose that Ukraine recognize Crimea as part of Russia.
I will be giving you a full detail over the next 3 days.
But yesterday, Zelensky nixed the idea, saying there's nothing to talk about. Crimea is the land of the Ukrainian people. President Trump is now accusing Zelensky of prolonging the killing field by pushing back on ceding Crimea as part of a potential peace deal. The president's social media post came hours after Vice President Vance said peace talks are nearing a moment of truth.
The Ukrainians and the Russians are both going to have to give up some of the territory they currently own.
There were to be high-level talks in London today on moving ahead with a peace deal, but those were scrapped after Secretary of State Marco Rubio abruptly pulled out yesterday. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A dozen states are suing the Trump administration in the U.S. Court of International Trade to stop its tariff policy, saying it's left trade subject to President Trump's whims rather than the sound exercise of lawful authority. A worldwide rally for stocks, though. Seth Sutel has the AP Markets report.
Stocks closed higher on Wall Street after President Trump walked back his criticism of the U.S. central bank and dialed down some of his tough talk on tariffs. The S&P 500 climbed 1.7%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 419 points, about 1.1%. The Nasdaq rose 2.5%. Treasury yields also eased in the bond market after Trump said he wouldn't try to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Trump also said the steep tariffs he's imposed on imports from China could come down. Seth Sutel, New York.
A magnitude 6.2 earthquake shook Istanbul and other areas of Turkey today, prompting widespread panic. More than 230 people injured. This is AP News. Harvey Weinstein's rape retrial has opened. Julie Walker's following it.
3 women will testify, 2 from his previous trial, and a third who prosecutors have now publicly identified as Kaya Sokola. The DA's office detailed Sokola's account to jurors of what happened in 2006, but she also accused him in a civil suit when she was 16.
There are multiple reasons why Kaya has never shared this incident publicly before.
Lawyer Lindsay Goldbrum.
You will hear those from her when she takes the witness stand. What I can say is, this was an incredibly traumatic incident.
Weinstein's lawyer, Arthur Idala, says his client is innocent.
There was some serious relationships that Mr. Weinstein had with these people that were consensual.
Miriam Haley and Jessica Mann say Weinstein also sexually assaulted them. Last year, the Court of Appeals threw out Weinstein's 2020 conviction. Julie Walker, New York.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
All right, Marianas, welcome back. It is 8:39 on this Thursday. What a show. What a way to start the day. I'm telling you, I got it made. How do I live this life? I'm telling you, I am the luckiest dude in Saipan. And how it works out for me, I don't know. But I get to meet people like Sultry and Tristan, who just came in, who are going to be giving these great performances over the next few days. Tonight is the full thing, 7 o'clock at Fishing Base for Flame Tree. It's the full performance. And then on Saturday, they're going to do the first half. Sunday, they're going to do the second half. And then after that, they're on a plane and going to Guam the very next day to bring Tierra Productions to the islands, to the southernmost island of the Marianas chain. I mean, and we get to have them in studio. It's just awesome. Great story. Hey, we do have folks from Department of Labor going to be coming in here in about 20 minutes. Looking forward to that. Linked up with them during yesterday's economic forum, which was great. I loved it. I'm not just saying that because I was the MC. It was a pleasure to be a part of it. Today, we're going to get you guys on the NMI News Service. We're going to get you the slides and all the production, everything that came out for the for all the presentations that were a part of the Economic Forum. Also have the words from our CNMI delegate to the United States Congress, Representative Kim King-Hines. She gave, I called it passionate, but I think that's an understatement. And I can't read the whole thing because of a couple of reasons. One, I'm not going to deliver it with as much passion as she did because she's Kim, right? But the other one is, this is pretty long. I mean, she had a 10-minute speech, and you don't want me reading her 10-minute speech. I could, actually. So the first 7 pages are of this document are exactly that. Let me see. Let me just make sure I got it. No, it's all 7 pages. I got it. And you know what would have been great? It would have been great if I had just recorded it for you because it was so good. But, you know, I like that. And then we also had former Representative Ed Probst. He penned something about his take on her talk yesterday as well, and he went live on Facebook last night as well. You know, I'd love to get him on to talk about this. I didn't message him because I know we got both of these groups coming in, but maybe we can get him in tomorrow or the next day, not Saturday, but like next week. I'll message him just to ask him, see if he wants to get on and chat it up a little bit. I mean, one of the best things about having this platform is getting that conversation going and let people talk about what they think about all this stuff and having our community have a real conversation about, you know, what's happening. Like last night, right? Last night we had that SIP happens, and woo, it got a little feisty. It got a little feisty at the end, no doubt about it. I don't think alcohol had any part in that at all. But that truth serum, they should call it. But like that was it. I mean, that was the thing. Like people, it got a little raw, it got a little real last night, and people talking about what they really feel about different things and about the economy. And I think that happens because of where we're at and the real impact that the economy is having on regular businesses and regular people. It's not a negative thing. It was the same thing. I'll tell you, when you've got like after the typhoons, you see regular people who can hold it together and are very cordial and everything. After you don't have power and water for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, you know, some of that polish starts to wear thin. And that is just a regular part of it. And that is part of the human experience. It's what we all go through. And I think that that's what came out last night. You know, people that we know, you've seen us do that show with these guys, but it's definitely I would say the least polished, right? It was definitely how it went out last night. It was the least polished. And it's not a show that's based on being polished, but it was the least polished because you could see that people are having a real impact, especially like what they were saying, going from saying that they're going from month to month to see if they can have their businesses going, to now going from week to week to see if they can keep their businesses open and whether they're going to be able to keep it going. And that's not just frustration. Those aren't just people complaining. Those are people thinking about their livelihood, especially like we listen to Travis and Shai was in the other room. You know, their business, their whole lives are poured into that business. They live at their business. You know, they literally live at their business. And that's, if they were to lose that business, if they were to lose that property, if they were to lose their lease or not be able to afford it. And they're not the only ones who are going through that stuff. That's a lot of people in our community, where a lot of people who have businesses, and I am not, this is not anecdotal. This is firsthand conversations with a lot of folks who have businesses who are looking at taking jobs in other places just so they can keep their business going. That's how bad they want to keep their businesses going. That's how much they want to keep their passion and their desire alive with what they're doing. That they would be willing to take a job just to fund their business. Holy cow, right? What does that say? That tells you that you've got people who love what they're doing. That's what they want to do with their lives. And holy crap. Like, we're not Scrooge McDuck swimming in piles of cash over here either, right? And I've gotten offered a handful of jobs since I've been doing this year. And I have thought about it. I mean, I'm telling you, I had thought about it a couple of times recently, putting some real hard thought into it. And but it came down to the same thing. Like, if I'm not doing this, am I ever going to be happy? No. I mortgaged my whole life on this thing. I'm making this work. So I know what they're doing, and I know what they're going through. That's just a shared experience. So hearing that last night was really great stuff. Holy cow, we got all these VIPs walking in the studio. It just got a lot cooler in here. I'll tell you what, we're going to get them all set up and try to get them going a little bit. We'll take a little bit of a break and get you get you up to date. So we did give you the AP. We'll get you a different news update because I know it's going to give me about 5 minutes. Hold on 1 second. I'll cue this up, and that'll give us about 5 minutes. We're going to get our guys set up over here, and I'm excited about that. We got our new guest coming in from DOL. We're going to hear more about what people are supposed to be doing out here in the community, and hopefully they are, and if they're not, shame on you. All right, it's Good Morning Marianas right here on the NMI News Service. We'll be back with more right after this news update.
Legal action over tariffs. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A dozen states have sued the Trump administration, saying the tariff policy is unlawful.
In a court filing, the states that include New York, Nevada, and Arizona say by claiming authority to impose immense and ever-changing tariffs, President Trump has upended the constitutional order and brought chaos to the American economy. Earlier this week, a federal court allowed the president's tariffs to remain in place, rejecting a challenge by a group of small businesses arguing the president overstepped his authority.
Fox's Jared Halper at the White House. A short time ago in the Oval Office, the president was asked about tariff negotiations with China, saying it depends on China on how soon tariffs can come down.
We've been ripped off by every country in the world practically, and friend and foe. And we're not doing that anymore.
And the president said the tariffs for China will be set over the next 2 to 3 weeks. The president also signed an executive order directing his administration to enforce existing laws requiring universities to disclose when they receive large foreign gifts. And he signed a second order making changes to the university accreditation process that would force accreditation to be focused on the merit and results rather than what a White House aide called woke ideology. As the Trump administration works to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, Ukraine's president is rejecting a proposal that would turn over Crimea to Russia.
Unfortunately, President Zelensky has been trying to litigate this peace negotiation in the press, and that's unacceptable to the president.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who says President Trump is not threatening to walk away from peace talks, but he is frustrated, and she says that he needs to see the war come to an end. America is listening to Fox News.
Listen to the all-new Bret Baier podcast featuring Common Ground, in-depth talks with lawmakers from opposite sides of the aisle, along with all your Bret Baier favorites like his all-star panel and much more. Available now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
A Guatemalan man is charged with the murder of his girlfriend, a Maryland mother of 2 who went missing earlier this month.
Casey Barrera Rosa is facing first-degree murder charges in the death of his girlfriend, 23-year-old Lesbia Ramirez Guerrera. Barrera Rosa's uncle is also charged with accessory after the fact in connection to the murder. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials say all 3 are in the U.S. illegally. Ramirez Guerrera was last seen on March 31st and was reported missing by Barrera Rosa on April 2nd. Her body was found 2 weeks later, buried in a heavily wooded area near the Cedarville State Forest. Barrera Rosa was arrested by immigration agents on April 5th and is in ICE custody in Virginia as he awaits extradition. His uncle is being held without bond at the Charles County, Maryland Detention Center. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, who has come under fire from Republicans for traveling to El Salvador to meet with another man who was deported by ICE, said that he cannot imagine the grief the victim's family is experiencing. Vice President J.D. Vance's half-brother is running for mayor of Cincinnati.
36-year-old Corey Bowman, a pastor and business owner and half-brother to Vice President Vance. He's launching a bid to become Cincinnati's next mayor.
It's time to end the waste, approach housing practically, cut the red tape, fix our roads, back the police, guard our kids, and see a bright future for the greatest city on earth.
3 candidates are in the race, including incumbent Democrat Mayor Aftab Pureval. Bowman, the first Republican to enter the Cincinnati mayoral race since 2009. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Harmful bleaching of the world's coral has grown to include 84% of the nation's coral reefs in what scientists are calling the most intense event in recorded history. The International Coral Reef Initiative calls it the most intense event of its kind in recorded history. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
from the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey there, it's me, Kennedy. Make sure to check out my podcast, Kennedy Saves the World. It is 5 days a week, every week. Download and listen at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care. All right, Marianas, welcome back. All right, it's 8:53 in the morning here on Thursday, and again, a beautiful day out here in Saipan. The weather is outstanding. We're looking at another great one. High near 87 today is in the forecast, and it's going to be a light breeze coming out of the east-southeast, just about 10 miles an hour. That's just enough to keep you cool without messing up your hair. You gotta like that. It's gonna be great. Tonight's gonna be great too. We're looking at a low around 77. The wind's gonna die down just a little bit, but that's gonna change tomorrow because Friday it's gonna be blowing around. Gusts as high as 18 miles per hour. So you might have to put in an extra little bit of gel or hairspray to keep that stuff in place. Not so much a problem for me. You just keep it short and you're good to go. All right. Hey, everybody. We've got some folks in studio joining us today, going to tell us about all kinds of stuff happening. Thanks to the Department of Labor for joining us this morning. Really excited to have you guys with us in studio. I'm going to have to slide back because I got three guys in here who are going to, I'm just going to have to slide way back here. Wait one second. Where's my little split screen? There we go. All right. See, look, I got to sit like here because otherwise I'm creeping on these guys in the screen. And also, I got to change who these guys are on here. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for coming for Department of Labor. See how smooth this is? That's perfect. Even with the spelling errors and everything, I'm good to go. All right, so here we go. Department of Labor. Looking good? Looking good. All right, here we go. All right, now we got it. Now we're officially in, and we've got our friends in here from DOL. So first of all, I want to say welcome to all of you, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, well, it's great. It was we got to see Joe at the Economic Forum yesterday, and so bumped in. He's like, "Hey, can we get in there?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I would love to have you guys in, talk about all the great stuff that you guys have." So let's start off by letting the community know, everybody who's watching, who you are and what you do with the organization.
Tito, and good morning, everybody. Hapa day. My name is Jose Kiyoshi. I am the new Director for Enforcement and Compliance in my Department of Labor.
Good morning, I'm Norman Russian. I'm an investigator for the department.
Good morning, my name is Jeff Camacho. I'm also a labor investigator for CNMI Department of Labor. So the reason why, Brad, that I reached out to you because of yesterday's big economic forum. And the biggest thing here is we're enforcement, but we're not here to, go after you guys and penalize you guys, but we're here to let that community, business community know that we're here to work together, right? There was a statement yesterday that was made that we're alone. We are alone, right? And what's going on? I'm here to tell you as a business community that enforcement and the CNMI Department of Labor is here to work with you and to help you in what areas that you need to understand. And one of the biggest issues that coming in to Department of Labor is finding out that a lot of these businesses do not know that before you do a closure that you're supposed to write a letter to the secretary, which is our boss, Leila Staffler, 60-day notice, and also inform your employees 30-day notice for them to get that period to find a job
and where to go. So Department of Labor Enforcement and Compliance, we get that notice and we'll reach out to the business. Then that's where we hold their hand and say, you can go to employment, you can go to WIA. And that's why I actually reached out again, to just remind all the businesses that there's laws and regulations that we have to follow, and somebody has to do it, and we're that enforcement branch.
Well, and you're doing it out of the best interests of the community too, right? I mean, you want to make sure that you give people a real chance. One, nobody wants to show up and find their offices all locked up and they don't have a job anymore, and they don't want to find out that way.
Exactly.
Right? And so you're giving people an opportunity by having regulations. Like somewhere in the history of the CNMI, someone came up with a rule that says people need to know in advance, and they should be afforded that info. And so you're just out there letting people know that they have to do that to give their employees a heads up.
Yes, sir. That's why I brought these two guys here. They're more experienced than me. I'm just 3 months in the job right now. I know that we did have our secretary here, I think it was a month ago, with our investigators, Arlene Rufanen and Julie Tibotep, and I believe Norman was also involved in that. But I decided to come again, and just friendly reminder to all the businesses to please reach out to our office, and if you guys have any questions, we can assist.
Well, I mean, hopefully we don't have to have any closures, or I mean, that's what we'd rather have, right?
Right. Yes. yes.
So you mentioned a couple of things. So if somebody is closing, like that's how we find out about these stories, right? When people file those reports, that 60-day out, like that's how we heard about the DFS thing.
Yes.
Right. And they had to reach out to you guys and write that letter to say, hey, we're closing up shop and we got to and here's how many employees that we have. And then, but you guys don't just want to know about it, but you guys also take an active role in helping people, right?
Yes, exactly. And I would like to give it to Jeff to more explain on that issue.
Great.
Yes, thank you. When we reach out to these employers, we want to make sure that all their employees, whether they're foreign nationals or U.S. status qualified, that are before being let go, that they have been compensated their last work hours. And if they have anything that they want to bring up to our concerns and their concerns for any assistance, that's where we come in and we meet with both parties, the employers who are closing and also the concerns of the employees who are being let go. Yes.
Oh, so we just got a question that came in. It said, do you guys have a report on the closures of businesses, like on your website? Like, is there a heads up that people get, or how do you put the notices out?
Right now, because it's in our statute, subsection 8220.1-240, that's the RIF, reduction in force. Let's say you're not totally closing your business, but you're letting go of some of the employees for due to the ailing economy right now that we're all experiencing, and we don't want to see businesses close. We want to help them to continue with run their business, but we also want to make sure that the employees who are being let go are fairly treated with the RIF, the reduction in force hours. But back to that question in regards to, do we have any the notices out there? Well, we're reaching out now because we've been noticing a lot of companies are saying that, we don't know that we have to give notice to the Department of Labor or to the employees. Well, we have this law since back in the Non-Resident Workers Act in, I believe it was 1989, and it still exists. So it hasn't changed in terms of closing business or just reducing your manpower employees.
Well, I definitely know that you know what you're talking about, because that was a very specific code number that you were talking about, right? I remember a lot of my military stuff, and like AR 670-1 and all those kind of things. But like that one, that was like subsections, points, and all that other stuff. So how long have you been with labor?
I've been with the Department of Labor for, I believe now about 33 years.
33 years. Wow. It's a labor of love.
Love my job.
For sure. Norm, how long have you been?
I'm fairly new, but I'm getting my feet wet. 3 years.
Wow. Well, compared to 30, yes, it's new, but that's a good seasoned amount of time.
Well, but I like to say, other than the 60 days notice for the employers, we also have the 30 days for the employees. The businesses are required to give notice to the employees 30 days before they let them go. And in our regulations, the employers are required to let go of foreign workers before they can let go of our U.S. citizens, our status qualified citizens.
Wow.
That's within our regulations.
That's great for people from here. That's
provided that they're in the same category. Let's say like if they're both security guards, and you would have to let go of the foreign national before you let go of the citizen.
So that's a good point. So not only that though, how about with some of these like the temporary closures? We just heard that somebody's going to be closing for like 30 days.
Temporary closure?
Yeah, like we heard that one of the local properties here is going to be closing for a month later this summer. Is there a regulation that they have to tell their folks, hey, they're not closing, but they're at least closing for a month? Is there something in there, that, a code or a regulation that says they got to let their staff know?
I believe that it's a blanket rule or a regulation that any business that does close, submit your letter to the secretary, and then we'll reach out to that company. And like you said, 30 days. So we're expecting their employees to also know that they're closing 30 days, and they will be hired back.
That's great.
Yeah, and one thing Norman mentioned regarding U.S. qualified workers versus CW, it's actually beneficial for the company to keep their U.S. workers, because we need revenues, flowing in our economy, and letting go the foreign worker will benefit our cinema economy, keeping your U.S. qualified worker.
Well, and it's cheaper. You don't have to fly somebody out here and cover all their bills and everything, right? You get somebody who's from here.
Exactly, yes. And also, census of employment is very, very important that the businesses do submit their census of employment quarterly. That's very important coming up for 2029. Because, you know how federal works, right? They deal with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So they look at the numbers, and then they make their decisions with the numbers that we have. So that's one important submission that all the cinema employer must submit. The only company that's exempted is the federal government. But any business in the cinema, whether you're in Northern Ireland or Rhoda, Tinian, you're supposed to submit through our website. And we don't accept any paper submission. We accept only electronic.
Wow, so you could do all that online.
No exemption. And it's beneficial because you don't have to drive to, Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Just electronically. Yep.
So you do make it easier, and then you're also been trying to make it easier for folks who are transitioning into losing their job and trying to find something else. So I mean, there was last year you guys had to deal with like the Hyatt, right? I mean, that was a big deal, and trying to get people new landing spots afterwards.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
Let's talk about that census of employment, right? Can you tell everybody what that is and why they need to do it?
The census of employment actually is it's a list of employees that the company has, or the employer, meaning you have to list down all the categories. And example, a mom and pop store, right? You have cashiers, accountants, stackers, bagger boys, or managers for that matter. And just to show us that there is at least 30% of that workforce consists of U.S. status qualified workers. So in every company, they have to be meeting that 30% threshold of U.S. status qualified workers in every company. So if you have, example, like 5 full-time employees or part-time, out of that 5, you must have at least 2 U.S. status qualified workers. So it's a total workforce, multiply that by 30%, we'll give you 1.5, we round it off to 2. And if employers are not meeting the 30% threshold, we, kindly just give them a notice of warning that, come in and meet with us so that we can help you and explain to you how you can come up with meeting this 30%. That's in every kind of business.
So that they're like, I can't get anyone to apply. Is that where you're like, hey, we got some folks who could apply?
Yes, we do. We have the employment services that they register a lot of these locals or even food stamp recipients who are looking for a job that register there that I need a job somewhere, help me. These are people that we can refer based on the requirement of the businesses. Of course, I'm not gonna refer a stacker when you're looking for, example, a high, medium manager position.
See, it's like the ideal organization to have within our government. It's like you're not just there to enforce some regulations. You're there to make a real difference and really help people. You're helping the businesses and you're helping the folks who are trying to get employed too.
Yes, exactly.
That's great. I mean, you guys are really like you're a vital part of that economic engine that we've got, and you're out there again trying to proactively get people in those spots and fill in those gaps when they arise.
Yes. And there's also a misconception out there that even though you don't have any employees, you don't have to report. Everybody has to report, even though you don't have any employees. Everybody. I believe that's why they changed the term, and they included census. Because everybody has to be counted. So that's why I believe that they included that word census of employment.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And getting that word out is the main thing. There's probably a bunch of people who haven't done it or aren't doing it. They just didn't know, and they need to know about it.
So it's a requirement by law that businesses submit them every quarter. So they say for first quarter, it's due April 30. Second quarter.
You've got a week left. All right, go ahead.
So every quarter, the employers have to submit that. It's the work. We also call it total workforce listing. So it's an easier way to understand it. And if they don't submit, we get a list from employment saying these companies haven't submitted. So that's when we come in and we do we investigate them, and we try to find out, wait, what's wrong, what's going on, why didn't you update your census, so, and depending on the situation, we open up a CAC compliance case, and we file them in the hearing office, which we fine them, and we have a sanction of $2,000 per violation. So let's say you did not submit 2 quarters, first and second, that's a total of 2, that's 4,000. So we try to be business friendly, we're business friendly, and we work with the businesses, and we try to negotiate, and we try to help the business out. So we know the economy is in dire straits, so we try to do our best.
Well, I imagine you guys are similar to other organizations, like zoning. It's not apples for apples, right? But like the folks in zoning, they've got some pretty big fees and penalties and all that stuff. But they have said something very similar to what you're saying. They want to work with you. They're not there to put you out of business. They're not there to take all your money if you can't afford it. But if they want to work with you to make sure that you're doing it the right way.
We rather have them submit the census of employment rather than us going after them. We need those stats for future workforce.
So Brad, one of the goals that I have, coming in as a new director is to reach out to the business community, which we're here, and the other goal is to have an SOP on the fines that all the business will face. Coming in, I believe PUA took over the Department of Labor at one point because everybody was applying for, benefits, and enforcement was just kind of right there, but the whole staff was focused on submitting applications, paying people. So now that PUA is toned down, so one of my goals is to have an SOP, which that's to be fair to all the businesses, right? First offense, probably warning. Second offense, penalty fee, and you can be fined up to $2,000 by the hearing officer. But of course, if you can't pay it, there's a thing called settlement, and then we sit down with the business, ask them, so how much can you pay, and then they give us the numbers, and then we go from there. But it's not about penalty. It's just about working together with this. We know that the economic situation is bad, so enforcement and the business community, Department of Labor come together and we work together.
That's why I think it's about what you're saying about coming together and working it out, because you want people to be doing it the right way. But after listening to some of these folks in different businesses, like that would be enough to take someone out of business. Like, I mean, because they don't know about it, but that's not your intention to do it at all, right? You're trying to work with folks so that they do it the right way.
Yes, exactly. And you know when the business are sincere, right? They come in, they want to meet with you and talk to you and share their issues also, why they haven't reported. Finding out some of the businesses hire professional manpower services. So they were handling this. Unfortunately, they left. So they're looking for another individual to be submitting what requirements on the Department of Labor, and sometimes they're not told that, oh, Mr. Kiyoshi did not submit your fourth quarter, right? Then first quarter comes, they submitted first quarter, but they didn't submit fourth quarter. So those are the things that we're finding out, that sometimes whoever was paid to do it, they didn't do it. So.
Wow, I think you guys have a lot of other programs too within Department of Labor to really help get people jobs and to even help businesses fund some of those positions too. And I think that all fits in the same thing about trying to help everybody do things the way they're supposed to, hit their 30% mark for the numbers of people, make sure they're filing the things that they're supposed to be filing. And if you can't find folks, you guys even help people find folks. The Department of Labor does it all. Right. You guys, I mean, and with so many different, like you guys are the enforcement and the investigators and all that, but it's such a wide-ranging agency, all the stuff that you guys have to do. So you have to do a lot of work together within your own agency with a lot of folks, right?
Yes, so we have admin, we have statistics, we have OSHA, we have PUA, we have employment services, and then WIA.
Wow. Yeah. So how long is PUA gonna last? I mean, is that still hanging around? That was pandemic unemployment assistance, right?
Yes.
Is that's still a thing?
So we're gonna cross our fingers that we were told, I think by June, but we're gonna cross our fingers that will be extended after June. So, it's up to the Trump administration what they're gonna do with that.
Wow, I didn't even know that was still around. I mean, like, I really thought that was, wow, that's awesome.
So we still have individuals that are still waiting for the checks. We have individuals that are being told that they got overpaid, so they're collected.
Got to get that back.
Yeah. So the secretary, I think, was informed that by June she'll find out if PUA is going to be open, and of course we all read the news about that $400-some million that still has. So I'm hoping that Trump or the U.S. will reappropriate that money for additional need for our economic situation.
Yeah, that would definitely be helpful. It's not like we're just flush with cash these days.
Exactly.
Wow. So what? So Jose, you were with Khalili's office for a long time over there across the channel in Tinian, right?
Yes.
Norman, you've been here for 3 years. What were you doing before that?
I was a police officer 15 years.
Wow.
And great job. Yeah.
George, you've been there.
I'm still in enforcement.
I know, and George, over 30 years, you guys, like, it's just a lifetime of service to the community in different roles.
Right.
But that's pretty great. And you get to see a lot of it too, especially law enforcement, and then coming over to the labor side. I would imagine it's different, but probably a little bit easier, or not easier, but less. Is it less stressful doing what you're doing now?
Harder.
Really?
Yeah, harder. But the criminal justice system is a little bit kind of fine-tuned. The labor system is there's a lot of complexities, It's just harder. Plus, especially when you take decisions to the hearing office, there's it's not as fine-tuned as a criminal justice system. So we're trying to.
It's got to be. So I would think that you're better fit for this labor thing because with you're such a nice guy. I know there's got to be like a balancing, like when you're in law enforcement. That's why I would be a terrible police officer because I just want to get along with everybody, And there's some people who just don't want you to get along with them, right? Or they don't want to get along with you. But with what you're doing now, you could still be a nice guy and help enforce everything. You don't have to worry about these guys.
So we have our website, cnmylabor.net. That's where they can update their census of employment. And we made it easier. There's a clause there that if you don't have employees, you can submit your letter and we would excuse you for not submitting for like a year.
So CNMI, I see a few different things. I got marianaslabor.net. I see labor.cnmi.gov. Maybe those are.
.gov, my bad.
Is that it? .gov?
CNMI.gov.
This one right here?
Yes.
All right, so we'll put that on the screen so everyone can see that too. Call it the old split share. Whoopsh. There, everyone can see it. And, who's this guy right here? Front and center. The voice of experience right there on the main page. And you guys are all under the shadow of our buddy in the middle. That is a tree. That is the tree, the workforce tree. All right, so you got your DOL, but all the resources are right here,
right.
Where you can file for everything, where you can apply for things. It's a pretty great website that you guys have.
So one of the goals of the secretary was have everything digital, information-wise. So like I said, you don't have to drive all the way to Capitol Hill. You can electronically submit, and whatever we do here in Saipan is the same thing they do on Tinian, and the same thing they do in Rhoda. So it's no different on Tinian, and it's no different in Saipan or in Rhoda. It's just we're separated by water. So
wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nobody loses out. Nobody's got an advantage. It's an even playing field for whether your business is in Saipan, Tinian, or Rhoda, which is great. Well, that's great. I'm on the website now, and we're showing people through it. You guys can find it, too. We'll put the link in the comments for you so you can find it. So here's Tobat says, I go on that site every morning and look for jobs that are in my arsenal. What's the hiring rate when people apply online?
It really depends on the job vacancy announcement. So depends with the position.
What kind of jobs and like what kind of so here's like the job seekers. So this is where people can actually find the jobs themselves that are advertised right now?
When they go through the WIA program, that's the assistance that they will get. Under the employment services, which is with the director of Eugene Tebutep, that's where a lot of the registered locals who are looking for a job and also employers are, asked to submit in your job vacancy announcement through our website. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to put it in, and then there will be some locals, like Norman said, depending on what job category. Because of course we're not going to send a janitor for a position that you're announcing to be a radio broadcast example, and without any experience, right? So
I could be a good janitor. Don't get me wrong. I was in the Army. I had to clean up a lot of stuff. But I get you. I totally understand. So you try to match the right people with the right opportunities.
That's what we're trying to do, yes, very much.
Oh, well, that's great. And that there's the resources right here. And this is just what's on the first page right here. There's a lot of jobs that are available on here that people are advertising. And like you guys have said, we get a home court advantage. The folks from the CNMI who are born and raised or just U.S. citizens, U.S. eligible, get that first opportunity at these things. And there has to be a minimum of 30% local staff for a company. Right. So here's a question for you. So how do you know, like, say there's somebody from off island who ends up getting hired. How would I know that I didn't get it and that guy did, and I'm eligible, and I would like how could I be upset? Like, how could I even prove it? Like that somebody else got hired for that job?
On the declaration of employment you made an announcement for this position, you also have to declare why you're not hiring these U.S. status qualified workers. And, depending on your justification that, they didn't meet the criteria, or they're just not qualified for the position, or you schedule for an interview, but they don't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's why we intend that all these JVAs should be announced in. Because when you're making the job vacancy announcement, your intent is to hire foreign national worker from outside coming in. But we have all these status qualified who are here on island that we want to give them first the benefit for that job before hiring. And sometimes we find out later that we don't issue now the visas, right? Unlike a couple of 20 years ago where CNMI produces the work visa and entry visa. Now with the U.S. immigration taking over, sometimes employers would announce, I made the announcement, and they submit it in for their processing, and everything goes from there. The visas are coming in, and we'll find out later on that, sorry, but already a CW worker came in and was hired for that position.
So you've been around for 30 years doing this, and you're just getting started. You've been around for 3 years. So maybe I don't have the complete picture, right? Because there's so many jobs that are available. And I know our minimum wage is higher than it used to be when it used to be back in like the 235, 305 days and all that. But they say that they, being the folks who hire so many off-island or CWs and all that. Local people don't want to work. Local people don't want to have these jobs. And is that true? I feel like that's not accurate. It's not an accurate picture of what it is. I feel like and again, I might be way off on this, but I feel like they just know that it's easier to get people from another country to come in and work, and it's easier to keep them.
Well, Brad, remember there was like a U.S., the United States justice system went after couple of companies a while back regarding not hiring citizens. So there was a couple of companies. It wasn't out in the media, but I know there was a couple of companies that were being investigated for not hiring. So we do have proof that those happened. So
yeah, I see. I might be way off by this, but it just feels like. That I don't know. Maybe you get more enthusiastic workforce. I don't know what it is, but I know plenty of people who want to work, and a lot of people who talk about I can't get hired, or they're not hiring me, or they're not even real. They post the JVA, but they don't really want to hire me anyway.
Some employers actually want to hire all these resident workers or U.S. status qualified. and they make an effort to bring them into their workforce. But that, what you just mentioned about some of these, they're not qualified, or our resident workers are not very reliable in terms of reporting to work. But you give a fair compensation and a little bit more benefit for them, maybe that they will remain and continue to work with you. Unlike, before, CW workers would get all these benefits from insurance to housing to transportation. Now that U.S. immigration is taking over, they will have to provide themselves. And with the minimum wage of CNMI federal minimum wage of $7.25, right now, a lot of locals would take that job, but also give me a little bit more incentive for me to remain working with you, right?
I'm with you. So I think that it's about the rate. Now, as soon as I start talking about this, folks are going to say, well, we can't afford to pay people more and all this other stuff. Okay, I get it. But that's the same thing. So when I decided to stay here, I had to get a job somewhere, and the Saipan Tribune was there. I got folks who got me an interview with them, and they hired me. And back then, the minimum wage was $3.05. You know how much they were paying reporters? $3.05. But they would pay $3.05, and if you were a CW worker, so they would guarantee that you would get X amount of dollars, right? So they would make sure that the minimum salary, back then I think it was $14.4.
What year is that, Brad?
This is like 2004. I think
still the same minimum wage.
What?
It's a CNMI minimum wage.
Oh yeah, not the federal. Yeah.
Right now, it's still the CNMI minimum wage.
So we have two minimum wage. We have CNMI minimum wage, which is $3.05, right?
$3.05.
And then we have the CNMI federal minimum wage, which is $7.25, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So, but at that time, here's what it was. When people were complaining about, remember when they went to Congress and the slave wages and all that other stuff? Here's the thing. This is what really pissed me off, because my buddy Sean Semin and I, a couple of people from here who are living here, Rex Sean.
He's back here.
Yeah.
He's in the Army now, right?
Yes. Yeah. All right, so him and I were the sports writers. We were the local guys, right? I say, this is really for me. I was the local guy, the Howley I hire. So, but we were making the same as everybody else. But the guys that we worked with also got free housing. They also got transportation. Their health insurance was totally paid for, and they got 3 meals a day. Him and I are in there hungry, and we're paying for our own vehicles, for our own insurance for those vehicles, our own housing, paying for our own stuff. So we actually got compensated less than the folks who were from off island. Right. And so that whole thing with Congress, which ultimately led to us losing control of our own immigration, I thought was a gross misrepresentation of what the real situation here. The people who were really getting less and shortchanged were the people who lived here. Like the U.S. citizen eligible workers were the ones who were getting less than the people who went to Congress to complain about not getting paid enough, right? So, so that's, I kind of wonder if that's similar now. Like when folks, maybe that was just an opportunity for me to complain, but not for you guys. But today we look at one of these things, and if it says it's $7.98 an hour for this hairstylist beautician thing that's on the screen right here, right? So there's one, right? I just saw that because it was in the middle of the screen. So let's just say it's $8 an hour. Now, if it includes all these other things like housing, benefits, medical, and all that other stuff, does that go for the local as well, or does the local get a higher compensation rate? Are these things, are these benefits equal now compared to that?
I believe so, because right now we don't approve any of these employment contracts. Employers are now submitting it to USCIS.
Mm-hmm.
USCIS, if they don't have, now on some of the employment contracts, we don't approve anymore. It's all been handled by USCIS, whether you meet their criteria as an employer in hiring these individuals in. So the benefits that they're getting, from housing to free food, I don't think that's in that employment contract now, because before we would be approving, CNMI Labor would be approving the employment contract with all those benefits for the foreign national workers. And we also try to emphasize and educate the employers to do a ratio calculation to, if you're not going to provide the housing and food benefits for these U.S. status qualified workers, then increase their minimum wage a little bit higher for that compensation so that they can have equivalent with the foreign national workers having all these other benefits. But now USCIS, we don't see any employment contract coming into the Department of Labor. It's all USCIS submitting in for their visas for them to.
Yeah, and that's too bad. Just the equity is the thing, right? And I was going back and thinking about it. So we weren't getting the 305. We were getting we started us off at salary because the salary limits were a lot lower than the exempt. I think it was 14.4. It wasn't a lot of money. Then that's not per hour. That was per year, like the 14,400. Now I think it's 24 something.
24 something.
Yeah. So, but back then when they made that conversion, then they had to convert everybody into an hourly rate and do that same thing. So the main thing is, I think just like what you said, you're going to get more local people turn out for jobs if you're willing to pay them for it. And if you're paying all those folks, like those contract workers, to come over, let's just say like where you've got a lot of them, like where you've got to provide barracks and all that other kind of stuff, which they exist, right? Like for the hotels and stuff. So if you just bump up the local rate for those jobs, I mean, I would think that people would still want to go and do those jobs. I mean, being an engineer, sure, when you get to that level, but working in the engineering department for a hotel or like I think NM Tech, perfect to train those folks to get in there. You pay them a good rate, and they're going to stay there, and you could have an employee for life.
Right. So another loophole that I've noticed is we have this 30% rate, right? That you're supposed to hire qualified U.S. workers. What I'm seeing and what I'm understanding is a big company that's required to hire 30% U.S. qualified workers, right?
Kyoshi International.
They hire on the low end, but on the top echelon, they hire all foreign workers.
Wow.
And then when there's a qualified U.S. worker that's applying for an administrative higher position, right? He's qualified. Kyoshi company already met the 30% rate, right? Now, Department of Labor will come in and say, how come you didn't hire Mr. John? Because he's qualified. Well, Mr. Labor, I made the 30%. Now it's my choice to choose who I want to hire in this level. So, this is something that the legislature could sit down and look at that and say, okay, let's put 10% on the low echelon, 20% on the high, high administrative managers, supervisors. Because I believe there was one case here that I was told that an applicant was qualified in manager position or supervisor, but he wasn't hired. When we came in, they made the 30% ratio already. So it is up to the company if they want to hire that U.S. qualified worker.
Wow. See, I thought if there was they would always get the advantage. But the other thing is some of those things, they stack the deck. Like, right? So this year, I need an accountant who's got to have this degree in this and this and have 5 years of experience. Next year, I want to keep that person. Next year, I'm going to have it, say, 6 years experience because they've got that extra year. And you just see them keep adding. And if they use that as an excuse to say they're not as qualified for the position, right?
So I believe that's why USCIS came out with this touchback issue, right? That every 3 years you go back, right? And then you're forced as a business to look for that U.S. qualified worker. But also, it's very important for the business to understand that they have this touchback issue. So the business also should be thinking, okay, Mr. Kyoshi is going back in 3 years. How do I replace him? That's where employment, what's that called? To submit your workforce plan. on how you're gonna bring the local that's been there for 5 years sweeping. How are you gonna bring him to supervisor position or whatever's next after technician 1, technician 2. So those are the keys that we need to make the business understand that, like you said, every year you say 6 years, following year you say 7 years, because you want to keep your CW worker. But like what Mr. Camacho was saying, if we pay our U.S. qualified workers the same rate, I believe that our workers will be in that company for a long time, because he's treated right, he's fed right, he's paid right, and it's beneficial for the business here in the CNMI to keep your U.S. qualified worker, because revenue goes round, and whatever we spend goes back to our economy. Right? So that's one of the, I think, loopholes that I'm noticing with this 30% ratio in a big company. So.
Yeah, then there's a personal aspect too, a human aspect too, right? You work with these folks, you get to know them. It's not just filling a job or something. They become people, they become part of your family, like whether it's your work family or whatever, but like it really does, they're part of the folks that you're dealing with all the time. And so you get that, and you want to continue keeping them employed if you can, because you care about them, right? So I can see how that happens. But as far as just the main point of making sure that local folks here get the first crack at the jobs, then I think that's it. And our numbers for some of the dependencies or some of the entitlements that they get from those agencies will go down too, though, if we start having folks who are going to work, earning a wage, getting taxes on that wage as well, and putting back into the system. So it's, you guys are, again, that goes to that same thing about you guys being such a vital part of that economic engine that's happening here in the CNY. All right.
So another issue is, let's go back when we had our own immigration, right? Let's go back when cheap labor was there. Our economy was booming, and I think what went forward was we had a lot of issues that we didn't tighten up in our own end. That's why immigration came in. But in my own personal opinion, I think the CNMI as a whole was already written what's going to happen now, back maybe 20, 30 years ago. Because if you look at what's going on with this Indo-Pacific issue, right, a lot of those benefits we were enjoying. Now, fast forward to what's going on, the focus is in Asia. So I think it did work for us, and I believe that what Congresswoman Kim Hines was saying with one voice, one direction, I think we should be louder, telling the federal government that we're not a state. We're so different with Hawaii, different with Guam, because our biggest problem is, population-wise, and I believe that the USCIS should give us probably semi-autonomy on controlling our workforce, because having somebody approve your CW 10,000 miles away and not knowing what's going on, it's just ridiculous. It is, and that was one of my biggest things I was frustrated about. Why would we lose control over our immigration over a labor issue? Right. If U.S. Department of Labor wanted to get involved, great. But why would we lose our immigration control based on something like that? Exactly. It seemed like completely unfair. Now, around that time, we had Alan Stamen came to Saipan, and I got to listen to him give a talk to our class over at NMC with Sam McFeeters, and he was saying that was the plan all along, that the U.S. was going to take over the immigration. And again, I'm going back on a pretty fuzzy memory from like 20 years ago when he came in to speak to the class, but he was saying really that was the plan right from the start. Through the covenant and everything, but other things were happening, and it became less of a priority
at the federal level because everybody was dealing with other things. And then they finally came back to it with that big push, which I thought was, again, it made no sense to me.
I mean, this issue is a very touching issue. You know, we talk about Article 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe I think it was the mainland politicians that gave us this idea about Article 12. But if you look at back, and we don't have Article 12, I think Sinomai will have owned by Koreans, half owned by Japanese, and then half owned by Chinese. So I think going back to what you were saying, what Alan Stamen was saying, our Sinomai history was already written under the federal, their vision of Indo-Pacific. Now what's going on now is the build-up is here. So what I learned yesterday was a camouflage, right? Our economy is bad, but it's not showing. Why? Because we have all these projects, we have all these military build-ups that's camouflaging what's really going on in the Sinomai. So the question is, where do we stand with the present administration, right? We're supporting military 120%. Now, where's that balance of me supporting you, but your policy is killing us over here in the Sinomai? And I believe the covenant made it clear that we're to become sustainable, right? Run our own government, run our own economy. But right now we're more dependent on the federal government than ever, right? We're just waiting. So those are the things that I believe, if our leaders are listening right now, I believe the legislature should be scrambling, trying to find out, trying to see how we can adapt to the Trump policy. What's going on here? You know, one good example, Department of Education, right? Trump already executive order is going to scrap it out.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen to our PSS? What's going to happen to our students? Is there something going on? I mean, you know, I don't know. So
yeah, I'm watching that with a lot of reservation. Not sure how that's going to work out, but I'm listening to what they're saying about it. They're trying to eliminate, or at the very least, pare down the Department of Education quite a bit. But they don't want to necessarily remove all the funding. They want to just channel it through other folks. Right. And it's a long conversation we'll get into for a lot of stuff. And we could do it if you guys want to talk about it. But I know that you guys have stuff you want to do today. But man, I'll tell you, this is the tip of the iceberg of a even greater conversation.
Now you see how I said it's complex.
Yeah, really. And you know, luckily, we can do it anytime you guys are free. You know, whenever you guys want to talk about it and get into it, and how deep you want to get into it. Like some of this stuff, I know it strays off from. It's more about the overall situation that we're dealing with and everything too. That part, like man, I'll tell you, I'm with you on that. The military part. I know what we're getting with that, but and then what's going to be there for us afterwards? Like, could we, like, if we? I think now seems like a pretty perfect time for us to try to leverage getting our immigration back. Whether or not there's an appetite for it, if we get our own immigration here, if they're not going to give us that kind of autonomy, if they give us that, then we'll be able to be free to get. This place, I think, would be kind of popping again.
Right. Or maybe letting us approve the CW permits.
Yeah, and and that's one, but that's not the only thing. I like that idea about the cabotage. Yeah. Like I think that would really be a big win for us too, especially again if they're going to repeatedly make references to China as our biggest adversary, then give us the tools to be economically independent without them by letting our allies and our friends have a better opportunity here. And sorry, United. Like when I see United sponsoring things. I don't think that they're a real friend of at least the Northern Marianas. I think they're doing great in Guam. They got to be loving them. But what they're doing to us is not very friendly. And my friends from United probably not going to love that statement, but it's accurate. We have a better relationship and get more benefits from Jeju from a different country. So like if we could leverage that kind of a conversation to say, let Jeju do those connecting flights where they come through from the NMI to Guam and then come back from Guam to go all the way up. Man, their flights are going to be full because you're going to get so many people flying through the Jeju connection flight to get to Guam and back. You know, and yeah, that's just one thing that I would like to do. It's not a big labor thing, but you know.
Yeah. So you know, one message before we go is our secretary, Mrs. Staffler, you know, wants us to work closely with business establishments, and if you're listening out there, the business, please be submitting whatever required documents that you are supposed to submit. 2029 is around the corner, and if we don't have the numbers, how can we present a strong argument, you know, to the federal government that we need all these permits to be extended for another 3, 4, 5 years? So
yeah.
And thank you again, Brad, for letting us join you this morning.
This is great. I love that. I'm thankful that you guys came in this morning. Really, thanks so much for being here, and I'm glad we got to chop it up a little bit. And you guys want to come on when you're not talking about labor stuff too, and just want to chop it up about, hey, you know what gets me going, Brad?
Oh, that'd be awesome. I can't wait for that day.
Yeah, you do it. We'll get some of the guys from Tinian to come down, talk about that stuff too. I try to talk Freddie into coming over sometime too, to chat it up.
I have a lot of ideas that, you know, to sit down and just raw talk, right?
Yeah. Well, let's chat. We'll throw it to a real quick commercial break. We'll get everybody the Associated Press, 'cause I know you guys are going to head out in a little bit. We'll talk it up real quick and we'll see what we can come up with. I love the idea of doing it. So,
awesome.
so thanks, guys. Thanks so much for coming in and being on the show this morning. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to get you guys the latest update from the Associated Press that came in while we were enjoying our conversation. There'll be another one coming up shortly, but here is the latest, hot off the presses from the Associated Press.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Thousands lining up to pay their final respects to Pope Francis at St. Peter's Basilica. Ed Donahue has our report.
Francis's open wooden casket is perched on the main altar at St. Peter's. Swiss guards stand at attention. In the first 8 hours, more than 19,000 people passed by, including Chris Queen from Ireland.
Very moving experience to see him so vulnerable after so long, being so unwell. A real pleasure and privilege to be there.
It took hours to reach the casket. Some people held their cell phones in the air as they got closer to get pictures. Cardinals, including Italy's Fernando Filoni, met in private to finalize details of the Pope's funeral and plan the conclave to elect a successor.
We have to wait to pray and to have our meetings, and then afterwards we decide.
What do you expect from the next Pope?
I don't know.
Irish-born American Cardinal Kevin Farrell is running the Vatican until a new Pope is elected. I'm Ed Donahue.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's ruled out ceding territory to Russia, including Crimea, as part of any peace deal, saying there is nothing to talk about, it's our land. President Trump's blasting him for it, accusing Zelensky of prolonging the killing field. Earlier, Vice President J.D. Vance told reporters,
"We've issued a very explicit proposal to both the Russians and the Ukrainians, and it's time for them to either say yes or for the United States to walk away from this process."
India is blaming Pakistan for a militant attack that killed 26 people in Indian-held Kashmir yesterday. In the Middle East, France, Germany, and Britain are calling Israel's 7-week blockade on all imports to Gaza intolerable. Meantime, Israel's latest offensive continues with an overnight strike on a shelter in Gaza City, killing 23. Markets rallied worldwide after President Trump softened his tough talk on tariffs and the Fed. The Dow added 420 points to 1.1%. The S&P rose 1.7%. The Nasdaq 2.5%. This is AP News. Julie Walker has the latest on a wildfire in New Jersey.
A fast-moving wildfire engulfing parts of New Jersey's Pine Barrens has not resulted in any injuries, and evacuation orders were lifted, but officials expect it to grow before forecast rain later this week. State DEP Commissioner Sean LaTourette says as of Wednesday morning, the wildfire stands at about 11,500 acres and 30% containment.
We fully expect that number will grow.
And he adds,
this could very well end up being the largest wildfire in New Jersey in 20 years.
Audio courtesy WPVI, and because the fire reached the Garden State Parkway, part of it had to be shut down, but it's now reopened. I'm Julie Walker.
And scientists are reporting a global coral bleaching event has grown to include 84% of the ocean's reefs, the worst on record. I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Good morning, Marianas. Holy voice crack, Batman. What is going on? Let me try that again. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, Marianas. 9:53 in the morning here. Just a little bit of time left in the show today. Did we go long today? Yes, we did. Is that a problem? No, it's not. We're having a great time. Got to talk about all kinds of stuff. Now, I do have some other info to get to you guys today for sure. But I saw this video for Earth Day by some folks that we know who do a lot of work in the community, and we also just love these guys. Turnkey Solutions. They are the last ones to pat themselves on the back, so we'll be happy to do that for them. They are great. So we're going to show you this video that they put together for Earth Day. And so get ready to sit tight and sit back and watch this. I asked them if they could send it to me. They're like, oh, okay, but can you at least say it's up from us? I'm like, of course. This is 100% their production here. So let's get this on here. I want to make sure that I can get it on a full screen so you guys can hear it too. It was really neat. And they do this. They're not being asked to do this stuff or contracted. They have a legitimate just love for our Commonwealth. And this is, again, they did something like this for the teams that were getting ready for the games and just talking about the people in Micronesia. They do these things. These are love projects that they're on. No, not that kind. But they just love where we're from, and they love to celebrate our culture and where we are and everything. And I wanted to share this with you. And so let me turn this little bit of music off, and we'll put that video on. Here we go. Transition it over, and here we go. This is from Turnkey Solutions. I love it. Just gives a nice little snapshot of our islands, and this is what these guys do. I love them. I love working with them. I get to do all kinds of projects with them from time to time. And, you started doing this, you got to love the people that you work with, and I love those guys. Yes. I'm laughing at the comments in the WhatsApp, guys. That's the best. Anyway. So it's 9:56 a.m. We're going to wrap up. We're going to call it a day because I got some actual work to do. I got to catch up with everything. What can you expect during the day? We're going to post a couple of comments side by side. We got the text comments from our delegate to U.S. Congress, Kimberly King-Hines. So we're going to post that up there for you guys so you can read it for yourself if you weren't present for it. And when you see the text, you can't, you don't have to worry about whether or not you can hear what the audio was, so you can actually see it. We're going to do some research. We got to pull up the documents for this this guy who was convicted in federal court. So we're going to tell you more about that throughout the day and tomorrow as well. But a lot going on. And we're also going to get all the slides from all the presentations from yesterday's economic forum, and we're going to be able to get that stuff for you too. We'll go through them on the show a little bit, and that's it. What do we got going on tomorrow? Holy crap, tomorrow's going to be a great show. I can't wait. First of all, we got good folks who are coming in tomorrow. Hold on, get back here, you. We got the folks from the Small Business Development Center. They're going to be in studio with us tomorrow. But then after that, we got this super cool live thing that we're going to do tomorrow at 11. Holy cow. So tune in for the show tomorrow for sure. But then when we go live at 11, just get ready. Tomorrow, 11. It's going to be awesome. All right, guys, that's what we got tonight. Maybe we'll see you down there at the fishing base so that you guys, so we can watch the Teira folks put on Nothing Micro about Micronesia. It's a free show, and we'll be there. And we're going to be excited about checking it out. All right, so that's what we got for today. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and really enjoyed being able to do all this stuff. So you guys take care. Have a great day. I hope it's your best Thursday so far, because there's plenty of stuff coming your way you don't even know about yet. You don't even know how awesome your life's going to be yet. Even if it doesn't feel like it today, it's going to change. It's going to get better. And that's the same thing for our economy. It's going to change, and it's going to get better. Do I know how or when? No. But I know it will. So anyway, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, Marianas. Tomorrow morning, 7-ish. See you then.
Good morning, Marianas. So many things we got to discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings to Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news from a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun. Good morning, Marianas.